Joe Battiato. I am a full-time potter. That's all I do. I teach one class at San Jose State and the Art Center at Palo Alto. And we're going to throw today. We'll just talk about blowing out a piece like this here. Some of the tools that I use that makes life a little easier for me. And a few techniques I'm going to do. So let's get started. And I also have my cheat sheets. I don't forget anything. It's tough. Just turned 65. It's like, oh my God, things are changing. You know? Before we start, this is Orion Stout. Probably one of my favorite clays. They make it here. It's really a nice clay for throwing. Pretty forgiving. We use it a lot in the classes with students.
Cone 10?
Yeah, it's all cone 10. Probably around 7 pounds of clay. What we're trying to do today, I'm just going to show you techniques. We're not going to try to throw big or anything like that there. Just how to blow out a piece, how to use some of these little tools that I just love. I have a hard time functioning without them. When I have to do a workshop or throw in a class situation, I don't have these. I am lost sometimes. So let's get started here. So start off, get it as centered as you possibly can. You know. And also, things that are important, this here is really a great tool. I found this in the dumpster. Okay, so you can also go to these used places. They're like $5, $6, but you are never locked in one place. So if you're going to throw for 6, 7, 8 hours and your back just cramps on you, this way you're here, you can bring it up, you're always changing positions. Mr. Dermer? Hey, Dan. So, center a little lower, and we're going to go through the steps. Okay, what I like to do, first motion is down, and what I'm just trying to do is attach this to the wheel head. I am not really doing much except attaching it to the wheel head, make sure I have it really secured on there. Always clean up the bottoms. A lot of times what happens is we have this here, we don't pay attention to it. Your hand wobbles all over the place. It's going to throw the whole piece off. So get your finger straight down and just get rid of this here. Don't worry about it. Now we're going to try to center. So start at the bottom. It's a wedge. This is a wedge movement. Centering is on the way down. I'm pushing with my left hand. Right hand is just keeping it all in place. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Never comes off.
Mine comes off and never goes back on.
Okay. No. No, it never comes off. I don't know if it can. Actually, probably could. I do a lot of windsurfing. And you get out in the bay and what happens is sometimes your hands will shrink up. So I always tape it out there. But as far as throwing, yeah. So centering, I always come off just a little beyond center. I never try to keep my hand right in the middle because it takes a lot of physical strength to keep your hand in the middle. And so if you come over here and just produce a little snake as you come down, we do it sometimes unintentionally, but I think it really helps produce a true well. You go down to your 1/2 inch to 3/8 of an inch from the bottom. Check it. You know, sometimes we just assume that we know what we're doing, but it's about 3/8. For a piece like this here, I like to open them up about 5 inches across the bottom.
How much clay are you using?
About 7 pounds. So you open it up. Always compress the bottom as you come back. That's going to smooth it out. What I'm doing now, besides cleaning up the bottom, is I'll use a flat edge tool, but you want something that's rounded on the edge like this here. And really compress and push on the bottom. And so what I do now is I start here and I really push down.
Where are you starting? In the middle?
In the middle and going just straight out to the side. I know it's a pain without a... Mr. Rubio. Hey, Paul. Oh, yes. So, but that really strengthens the bottom by just pushing down there. A lot of times when you make a bottom, they're curved like this here, and you have a lot of extra weight on the edge. This here helps press that down. It gives you a nice flat bottom. Plus, you know when you're trimming, you have a flat edge. Always collar in, never start throwing with the piece expanded. So we're collaring, basically choking the clay. Okay. And also you get some height. We're trying to get height on this piece. And people always want to throw larger. What really helps is have a ruler. I know 7 pounds of clay, I need at least a 12-inch cylinder. That's what I should have. If I have less than a 12-inch cylinder, I haven't thrown enough. So, you know, just by collaring in, I probably gained about an inch and an inch. And let me start. So, you know, we all have certain things we like. I love these sponges. These are Costco. You get 36 of them for whatever, but they really work well because it gives you a lot of area to push, lock in, and come on up. If you have questions, please. I know we're all at different levels here, so.
How many fingers you have?
I just, inside?
Yes.
There's no pressure inside, it's just guiding, but just the one. I put my whole hand in there.
The whole
Yeah, yeah. But keep this as tight as you can. You know, you really want this, you don't want this to open up. Ideally, you would have your feet on the ground, elbows on your thighs. Push hard down at the bottom, grab the clay, start to lift. As I get about halfway, I start backing off. I'm not pushing in. All I'm doing is lifting the clay up. And slow it down just a little bit. Demos always go faster. We always throw too quickly. But keep this collared in. You want this as tight as you possibly can. There's no advantage to open this up because we're going to make a real small opening. So dampen your hands, collar in, compress. Clean. Push in here. And I'm pushing hard. I'm lifting, 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 lifting. Pushing, and then I back off right about here. And all I'm doing is lifting that bump. And you can basically do it with one hand without your hand inside. You can lift it up. Because we're not compressing the clay, we are lifting it. And then give a measurement, see what you got. It's all right. You know, we got 10 inches, so I got another at least an inch, inch or two to get out of here. And this is where this chair's nice, is I can come back up here now and I'm over the pot a little better. And my back is not locked into that one position. And that really can save you a beating.
Use that sponge also, that size sponge when you're doing it like a bowl.
Everything. Everything. We're just coming up and just finishing off this pull. And actually this is a pretty good cylinder. This is pretty flat. They don't always come out this way. A lot of times you'll have an uneven top. So if you have that problem, you can trim it off or just leave it alone and work with it till the very end. It bothers some people. Well, let's go another, just a little more. I got about 10.5 inches here. So we'll do one more pull. And I know some people have the theory everything has to be done in 3 pulls. I don't. I take as many as I need. If things start to wobble on you a little bit, you know, just stop. Collar it back in. Get it back into control. Come back. You can start right where you left off and lift it up. Keep that control. It has to happen with these pots is two things. The top has to stay centered and the bottom. What happens in the middle, we can fix. But the top has to always be true. And I think that's going to do it. Yeah, and that's 11 and a half inches.
How thick is the wall?
I don't know, maybe half inch. Maybe. Yeah, that's close. Then one thing I do, and no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm making a bowl, a teacup, a larger piece, I can press my cylinder now. And you can use several tools, anything that's straight. A rib, you know, cow's tongue works great. They're a little pricey, and I don't use it, but they're a production tool, Japanese production tool for making large bowls, but they're great for straightening out a cylinder. So all I do is come over here. My next move would be to smooth out my cylinder, and also what I'm doing down here is I'm compressing some of the foot onto the bat. And there's less chance of it. What happens, I use a lot of heat, and you'll see. But what I'm doing is strengthening. It's like we always talk about compressing the foot. This is compressing the cylinder, making it a lot stronger. Come on up. And we got rid of all this gunk off there that you don't need. This is your $25 trick. Heat guns are wonderful. I use a lot of heat. But what I've done is you can get these, I guess, online. I found this in old photography. It was, we have like a dump site on campus, and they had an old enlarger there with this on there, and they are wonderful. So all you do is you get this had one of those lights on the end. So you take the light off, attach you can just bring it right over, get it going around, set this for 3 minutes, and you can leave. You can go upstairs. Well, my studio is in my basement. So you can go upstairs, pet the dog, get a cup of coffee, whatever you want to do. The biggest problem we all have is that we rush these things, especially drying. And on a workshop, it's really difficult because you don't want to sit here and watch me dry a piece. I mean, it gets very boring. So, but if I don't do it for 3 minutes, I'm going to end up screwing up the piece. So what I'll end up doing is I actually have a list here. You know, I have center, heat, then we're going to smooth, and then we're going to expand, and we're going to heat, and expand and heat. We'll probably end up heating this thing for about 6 minutes. And at the end, we will get some steam coming out. If you go watch Andy Rubel, he's going to do a workshop for Orchard Valley. He is phenomenal. He's also, what is he? Head of the ceramic department at it's Foothill. Yeah, Foothill College. And he can throw. He's young, he's strong, he makes these massively big pieces, and he uses a lot of heat. It'd be well worth your time. I know, I'll go. Plus he's a really nice person. You'll really enjoy him, but he's worth it. But I know this is really exciting, but it's really important. Otherwise what's gonna happen, I don't know if you've ever blown out a piece, but you start moving clay out and the bottom will slump on you. And yes, you can turn it upside down and let it dry. And or this the shoulder on the top gets really weak. This will take care of that.
Now that's a heat gun.
That's just, right, that's just a heat gun. Hair dryers are too wimpy. You never use a hair dryer, they're too noisy. This is one of my smaller heat guns. I have a larger one that I like to use also. I also use a torch if I really need it. And I will use a little bit when I put some slip on the outside here to dry this out. But this is all exciting. Any question? Go ahead. Just the inside, right. I don't want to dry the outside at all. Because what's going to happen if I dry the outside as I expand this, I'm going to get cracking. But since this is all moist, just the inside, it's a structural thing. We got 30 seconds. Yes?
When you use this heat gun, there's no cooled water.
No. Okay, yeah, you should look in there. Make sure there isn't any water. I don't use a lot of water Go ahead.
Could you tell us why you compress the outside?
It makes it a very much stronger cylinder. So when I'm blowing this out, it's a very much stronger piece. Plus, I don't have the finger marks. I want a smooth piece. Sometimes finger marks are beautiful, and they really can work, and I'll leave them. Depending on the clay body, if you use their Raku sculpture, you get this wonderful texture on the outside by blowing it out. You might want to keep that. But today we're going to show you how to smooth them out. So, Orion Stout. So, compressed it. Then get your metal rib and get one of your metal ribs and round off. They always come like this here with these little points on there. They might even sell them rounded, but round off one for the edges, because what happens is if you don't, you're gonna, as you come up the cylinder, you're gonna produce a line. And what we're trying to do is just smooth this out without gunk on there. We're really trying to smooth this out. This is also giving us a stronger cylinder. And you really want a strong cylinder because we're going to really abuse this thing when we start moving it out. Okay, so we have our cylinder. And we are exactly 11 inches tall. It's a little wimpy, but it's all right. You never push anything when you're giving a demo. It's not impressive to fail. Okay. I use this rib more than anything, and I just love it. They sell them here. They're $3, and I use it for shaping the, my lip, but for pulling up. All my pulling and my shaping inside is done with this here. And what I'm going to do... Is that wood? Yes. Yeah. It is just a... I don't know, who makes these? Kemper? I don't know. They have them out here. Yeah. So, grab your rib. It has a nice little notch there to hold on to it. You go down inside, all the way to the bottom, and you just start to push out just slightly, right here. I'm bringing it up just gently. And then right here, I actually grab and I'm starting to lift the pot from the inside. And if it was wet, it wouldn't come up high. But since it's so dry, I can get a little more height. So I'm expanding this thing. Just like this here. Just, you can see where the clay is coming? Yeah. So I'm just using this part of it right here. Tune up your neck. Keep that centered. Look inside for little balls of clay, because sometimes they'll fall in there, and if they get in the way, it's really a mess. It'll make a bump. And so we lifted it up, we've expanded it, and we're exact same height. We didn't lose anything, even though we expanded it. So we'll do one more pull out, starting at the bottom. You never really push hard here, because if you do, you're going to lose it. And we just start shaping a little bit here. This is where my rib is, you can see that. And I'm using just the tip of that rib and I'm pushing out. And I'm not worried about all the wobbles and everything else. I'm just trying to get some clay out there. This is where the mirror really works. I can sit here and I can watch what's going on. I have a mirror over here. In my studio, I actually have a large, off of a bureau in front of me that I can watch the whole thing. And it really works well when you're doing a large piece and you're standing up like this here and you're shaping, and you can watch what you're doing in there. Then we do a little more heat. And we'll do about a minute. That should be 2 minutes. Because if I don't, we're going to lose this bottom right here. Hi, Elaine. I don't know where you're at. I don't know where they all are. You'll figure it out. Okay, so we're just drying this out again. Elaine's going to do a hand building workshop. She does a lot of good stuff. How many of you guys are all full-time potters? Making a massive living. It is a great life. Not real profitable, but it's all right. Some things aren't important in life.
Brian, Scott, can you tell us a little bit about how it fires and how high it is?
It's made here. It's cone tin. It has a slight toasty color to it. They'll have test tiles out here. You can see exactly what it looks like. I really like it. Probably about 11%. Yeah, 11, 12. That's always depressing when you make these pieces and they always shrink down, but it's all right. Okay, so exciting. One other thing I'll show you a little later on, and it's a really good thing, is needle tools. We all have a needle tool and we're all trimming our tops. And a lot of times we have these really bulky ones and they have a large tip. Get a fine one and grind it down. So when you're going through there, you don't have as much drag. So it's easier to cut through and you can do a cleaner job than with a larger tip completely. Now that's just got what? 65, my first 16, so whatever it is, 45 years worth of knowledge within less than a half hour. Okay, so keep this true, always keep this true. I do want a smooth piece at the end. As we can see, we're starting to get some of our grog or sand coming through here. So we're going to compress all this again. We're going to come in here. Always pull out these little pieces in there. So I'm just pushing it from the inside out to my rib. I'm really not shaping much, just a little bit. I'm just trying to compress that clay. Make it smooth and make it strong. All the way to the top. And then we're going to expand again. And once I get it started, then I'll flip my rib over. Normally I use it this way to get it started. I'm just using this tip. Now I'm going to start blowing the bottom out. And so I'll flip my rib over. Also, the top part of my arm is riding gently on the lip. It keeps them from wobbling. Otherwise this thing can get all over the place. So, push it down here. And since this clay's been dried out, it'll hold up to this. If it starts to talk to you, you can watch your piece. And I tell them, treat them like a child. You got to listen to them. You really do. Otherwise, it's going to throw a tantrum on you and it's going to sit down. And so you watch this lip up here. If it starts to wobble, stop. You can use more heat, or you can come back and instead of finishing off the whole thing from the bottom, come back in from the top and finish your line so that you don't lose that top. Otherwise, normally what you would have to do is, if you start from the bottom, don't stop. It's like driving a Jeep in mud. You never stop. You know, once you stop, it's going to settle in. That's what's going to happen if you slow down on your movement here. Yes?
Can you say again about where your arm is on the top?
Oh, I'm just riding just slightly over here on this edge here to keep this true. When I get really, in the summertime we close down a classroom at school and there's 3 of us who get to go in there and just work and don't allow students or anybody in there. You know, I'll actually shave my arm. And then also another good thing to do is dishwasher detergent. It's a lubricant, so you don't chatter or stick up here. And then it's easy to wash your hands afterwards. You're already prepped. Okay, so let's push this out a little farther. It takes a little time to do these here. Just use a tip. It's chattering just a little bit. I'm catching a little bit, but that's all right. And it won't stop. If I stopped, I'd probably lose that top. So all the way here. Now I can just see what I have, you know. And you can stop there. You can say, okay, this is big enough. But if we dry it a little more.
So now that you've stretched it out and volume it, how thin is the wall?
They'll get down to 1/16 of an inch sometimes, which is good and bad. I mean, it's very impressive, and you can pick up some of my pieces and they're, oh, it's so light, and people won't buy them because they're too light. They're afraid they're going to poke through for Ikebana. You tell them, you know, we're not selling by the pound, but also what happens is thermal shock in certain kilns. I do a lot of soda fire, and we just built a brand new on campus, a new kiln on campus, and it cools down a little quick, and I can open the door and I can get cracks right through the side here because they're so thin that there's thermal shock there. But it's nice to throw thin. It's kind of fun. And you can get them really thin, but if you don't get them thin, and I'll show you on these here, I should have plenty of time. Yeah, I'm gonna show a trimming. I trim a little different. Does everybody cut their pots off their bats? Anybody leave their pots on their bats? Yeah, you know, I always leave my pot on my bat. I never cut them off. It's easier for me to trim. I know studios hate it and schools hate it, but if you have your own studio, you can do what you want to do. I also throw on plastic bats. It's a problem when you do those composition bats. They have a tendency to warp, which really isn't a problem because if they do, soak them overnight, put them on the ground in the morning with 3 or 4 bags of clay, and they'll level out every time. It really works fine. But I always leave all my pieces, and I'll show that towards the end. We'll trim this piece here. We'll do a quick little chatter tool. If anybody was here last session, Shin did a chatter tool, and I went home and Paul Rubin and I started throwing, God, in the 70s, you know, together. And we had an instructor, Bill Brown, who showed us chatter tools, and I found these chatter tools that are, you know, they're antiques now almost. They're over 40 years old, and it was really fun to play with them a little again. Okay.
Can you explain what chatter tools are?
I will show you. I will show you. Okay, and see, now I can see what I have, basically, just by looking in the mirror. So let's blow this out just a little farther. What happens when you dry them out, they have a tendency to chatter inside a little bit, so you have to just use a tip.
How long did you give this last time?
2 minutes. 2 minutes. If I didn't heat this up, I could never do this. You could wait. But, and I'll come back up in here. What's nice about a smooth piece like this here is now we can go over the whole thing with a rib and shape. I'm going to do one that's very textured. I'll throw the next one using a Steve tool, and it's really a lot of fun. But you can't touch the outside once you've thrown your cylinder, so it's a totally different world. So, but this here, we can sit here, smooth everything out, and this is where I really use my mirror. I can't use it now. Come on all the way up. And what I do, I don't worry about the bottom third at least, because I can trim all that. I do have to have this top right, and I can also trim the top, but you usually want the top pretty close to right, and the neck's got to be right. Yeah, we got a little bit of a bump there. And then what I always tell everybody, and it's really a good idea, is that once you finish a piece, just don't assume it's done. What you want to do is look at it 10 minutes from now, and if you have a shelf, like in front of you or someplace, put it there and take a look at it 5-10 minutes from now, because then you can alter it. tomorrow morning or next week. No, that's what you got. But you can say, gee, that is really great, or I really don't like what's going on right here. So I can get back in there right away and change that there. Then I establish my neck. Come on and establish a neck. And most of my pieces, I always put a line up through here to really establish a neck. You can see there. And there's several ways of doing that. This is where you use the rib with the little notch on there, the little square. And what you can do is you can come on up in here, follow your line until you get to where you think you might want a little ring, and then just push down with that little corner. Come on. And that establishes the neck. You get a nice line there. Then let's really do a nice neck.
Are you just pushing down on that?
Yeah, I'm just shaping just a little bit. This is where the needle tool that you grind really, really works. It's really fine. You can come in here. Come completely through. Clean that up. And I thought I had a... There it is. Okay, when you're throwing bulbous pieces and you want to use a chamois or something on there, don't get any drips on here. If you get a drip on here, it'll show. It really does show. So always wipe your hands. And you don't have to wipe the chamois, but wipe your hands, keep it from dripping. And then smooth that out. Then I'm doing a lot of slip. That's a flashing slip that I have no idea. Basically what it is, it's glacier porcelain with a little bit of Newman's red mixed in there. It's a clay body and it gives you that orange. But what I would end up doing was establish one more line right over here. I'll accent that a little more. And this gives you a surface to decorate someplace. So, and all you're going to do is smooth this out just a little bit. What this thing looks like, it's not bad. You got to remember when you look at the piece, look at the top, look at it down to about the top 2/3, and then visualize what's going to happen down there, because this can all be trimmed. And then what I'll end up doing is get a little bit of slip. And just add slip to this here. Be careful when you're, and I'm not being careful, but you should be really careful when you do this here. You don't want drips. You don't want a big drip down the side. So keep your brush right over the area.
This is the best time to do that rather than when it's leather hard.
Thank you. That's right, yes. Paul is going to give a demo today on surfaces. And what are you going to show?
I might throw something really quick because it's important what Joe's done here as far as smoothing out the outside. In case somebody else is over there, I might do a real quick demo like that. But most of it's going to be about the application of terra sigillata to get, and I'll have pieces over there, to get pieces that can capture the color from fuming processes and rock cool. So kind of be on.
Paul's great. I taught him everything he knows. No, we used, when was that? When were we throwing together with Jim?
100 years ago?
Yeah, it feels like, Paul was like, 2 years old. But that was with Jim, wasn't it?
With Jim, it was,
And Bill?
yeah, that was 27 years ago.
Yeah, we haven't progressed very far. You know? It's really sad because I took my first class at San Jose State when I was 16, right? And went through all the things. And 2000, my wife, no, she went back there to get her MFA. I don't know, it doesn't make it, but in 2000, she was having so much fun on campus. You know, she spent 6 years getting a 2-year degree. And I mean, you could do that back then. You can't do that anymore. Now you're allowed 2 years and they try to kick you out. But I went back, and here I am throwing in the same room, the same area, and the kids are listening to the same music. They're listening to the Doors, and I'm going, my God, you know, things just don't change. But add your slip now. Last thing I would do to finish this off is I would take a little extra clay down at the bottom here. Just get rid of that. Because otherwise you're going to have to mess with that when you trim it. There's no reason to. So use a knife or just any straight tool. Undercut. It's bad now because, like I said, the students I've had are really showing me up. You know? We've got some great students there.
Are you going to trim a piece
Yeah,
upside down?
yeah. But basically, I won't even spend more time. But you would clean that off. Did I bring mine? I didn't. Good thing to have is like a butter knife, and I don't think I brought mine. It's probably the most important tool I have. I don't think I have it in there. But, oh, here it is. It's really an important tool. It gets your bat off. Because what happens a lot of times is you come in here, go to get the bat off, you grab it with your fingernails, you break a nail. But even worse than breaking a nail is slipping and hitting your pot. And I had a husband and wife, and the husband came up and was going to show his wife how to take it off and ruined her piece, and that was not pretty. You know. But all you do is slip this underneath there, lift up. Also, one other thing I use all the time, I don't know if that looks good or not. That's not bad. What I'll end up doing over here, I probably should push this out just a little more, but I'll end up just trimming that, and it'll be just fine. This is a demo. This is an art. This is a demo. I love using, I forgot what his name was, but a gentleman made a bat grabbers, and he gave me a bunch when we first started it, and I never used them. And then I used them, and they all went to heck. But what this is just a chamois, and they really work well too. Chamois is something else. Oh, that's right, yeah. But they really work because what happens is bats get worn and sloppy, and they move, and it gets a little frustrating to have your pots moving like that there. You can get used to it, and it's okay, but there's no reason to. So put that down, add water to it. It'll dry out, so you just, add some water. If you don't want to do this here, you can always put a little bit of clay down there. People do that. That works well too. Okay, let's do a heavily textured piece. I know a lot of people, they laugh at this tool. This is a Steve tool. Yeah, thanks, Paul. But it's a piece of junk. And they're 20 bucks. I made my own handle, but they work. I mean, they really, really, really work. So I'll give you a demo on this. Lee Middleman, anybody knows Lee, he thinks these are really sinful, But what you can do, if you don't want to do something like this here, you can go down and, I don't know if they sell these anymore, but these are like wheels that came off of TV trays and things like that there. And you get your soldering gun, and you poke in here, and you stay upwind. Never be downwind, because those fumes are not good for you. And you can produce any patterns you want. Or you can get a hot glue gun and produce patterns on here, or glue things. I had one student put little diamonds, imitation diamonds, produced a really neat pattern. So, but let's let's do this thing here. This is fun. Okay. Whoops. Okay, dampen your bat. Just slightly dampen. Really slap it down. Try to get it somewhat centered.
How many pounds is that?
I don't know, 7, 8. Not quite a third of a bag. Not quite centered. You just get a kick out of Paul. I don't know if you guys ever got to meet Paul Solders, but he would go, you know, there's two types of centers. There's dead center and there's live center. And he goes, and I throw live center. And Paul stuff is all over the place, you know. And you never argued with him. We just lost him about a year and a half ago. Quite a guy. That's close enough. Also, when you go to throw what you can handle. Sometimes we push ourselves a little. I made a mistake. I gave a workshop. It was a big mistake. I don't know, were you there throwing large? Okay, you're both there. And I sat down and I got a bag of clay and I threw a bag of clay on the wheel and, you know, threw it. Well, everybody grabs a bag of clay and you go, well, maybe they can all throw it. I don't know. It was not good. It was not a good thing at all. So, but, you got something out of it. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to do is just get this roughly in the center, and I'm just muscling it in. There's no finesse here. Get rid of this extra clay down here. The person who taught me how to throw a bag of clay, Gracie Branch, they used to own Branch's ceramics, and they're retired. Gracie ended up making dolls at the end, but she wasn't even 100 pounds, I don't think. But she'd get wet clay and just center it and just throw these massive pieces. It was really impressive. She was a little lady, but she could throw. Okay. Keep that bottom clean. That's really important. I don't worry about, a lot of people are all concerned about the little bit of clay you're taking off the bottom. And some people can throw it, everything they have on here. I don't worry about it, because I'm going to trim a lot. Because my normal routine at home is I get up at 5 every morning, and I go to the studio, and I'll trim for about an hour and a half, whatever I threw the day before, and I have until 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, my wife has me. That's the end of my, control. But I do like to spend those 5 hours down there. The first thing I really like doing is trimming. If I don't have something to trim, it's kind of depressing. It's like, man, did I waste that day yesterday doing something fun? It wasn't clay or opening. And everybody talks about, well, you're lucky you have a wife that lets you do this. Well, we got 4 studios in our house, and I've told some of these people, 3 are hers. So you can see who has everything. She has a painting studio, and she's a printmaker. So we have one with a massive press, and then we have a textile room, which has like 3 looms and a spinning wheel and all kinds of stuff. And this way the kids can't come back. The rooms are gone, and that is really important. Okay. That was the first thing we did when they moved out. Okay. But like I said, I'll center down low and bring this up a little bit. Same thing, got to roughly center it in. Going to push down here and start bringing this up. Start feeling for the air bubbles. We'll go through this a little quicker. Clean that bottom up. That also starts your little bump right down there. You're already having a bump established. So we're going to come in here. We're going to push down here. and lift it up. It was impressive. There's a potter, and he's giving workshops here, Bob Kinsey. I don't know if you guys know him. Phenomenal guy. I think Bob's like 82, and just he put down 40 pounds of clay and center it like it's nothing. But I got pictures of him in, I think it was 73, when he did a workshop. And he's throwing these pots. It's massive, massive pieces. Sandy had these pictures. They are, he says, 2 pulls. And I, you know, anybody else, I'd say, yeah, right, sure, he could do it. This was a gentleman who was trimming one time and lost a needle tool stuck in his chest, and he didn't even know it. Bob's tough. He is great. Now, if you have a chance when, seriously, when Santa Cruz has its open studios, look up Bob Kinsey. You go to their house. They live, I think it's Capitola, and they built 2 homes. One is their house, and one is a studio. And he does a full throwing demo. He has these beautiful planters. They're like $45. They're gorgeous. It's an experience just to go there. And he shares everything with you, just everything. He's a great guy. Okay. Got a little air bubble down there, that's all right. But we're pushing now. I stopped pushing. You know, I pushed pretty hard down here to try to get some of that clay up. Then I stop. Because if I keep pushing, I'm going to get this really thin cylinder. So now it's just a matter of lifting up that bump all the way to the top. And do one more time. What time is it here? Yeah, where's my watch? Well, that's my watch. Okay, we got plenty of time. Okay, so one more time. So I'm just going to grab that clay, trying to get some of that clay that's out the bottom up here. Smooth everything out. Don't hold your breath. It's hard to. Come on to the top. Let's stop right there. Then we're going to compress like we did before. Keep that cylinder strong. And even though I'm going to texture the heck out of this thing, I don't want any lines. If I texture this thing with this, I mean, this is a pretty, I guess the term would be gnarly tool. These will show as I blow this out. So you want to get this really smooth. So I'm going to push with this rib. Get rid of most of those lines. These are great. If you ever have a chance, if you want to make teacups, they have a small one. It makes a perfect bottom for a teacup. You just throw a cylinder, you go boom, you're done. Then you got to spend 3 hours trimming it afterwards, but as far as making the inside of the teacup, they are wonderful. The only thing is you have to use a little bit of water inside. And I didn't know that. The first time I tried it, there was a young Japanese potter who's demonstrating here for Shimpo, and he was using these here, and he made these beautiful bowls, and I can do that. He went home and chattered all over the place, you know, and it was like, whoa, you got to add a little bit of water, and they just makes it works. It's a beautiful tool to use. It really is. Okay, here's a fun part. I like some questions.
This is where you go get your coffee.
Well, actually, you know, I'm horrible. I don't like my hands really dirty. I usually get up and wash my hands, but I'll do that here. But yeah, you get up, get coffee. Why don't you guys go get some coffee? Go ahead. Make a bathroom run. This is going to take 3 minutes.
There's a sink right behind you.
Yeah, that's all right. This is tradition.
I'm the same way.
Can you blow out from the inside? Where's the point? Does the point of contact change?
The torch?
When you blow out?
Oh, no. Basically, I'm right here. Right here. Yeah. And I know, I guess that's backwards. Does most people blow out on the other side? I don't know. I always blow out. Paul, what side do you, when you move your clay out? Both? Do you come out from your right hand? And you coming out over here? The other side. Yeah, because Bob Kinsley, this gentleman, he goes, just do it all wrong. And I go, well, yeah, I probably do. And but I've been throwing in front of a mirror for many, many, many years, and you establish these bad habits, and that's probably one of them. Yes, you know. It's I had a towel. Oh, there it is.
Having a very thin spot in the widest section. But you say the cracks were in.
They're all, it's thin all the way through. It's actually pretty even if you open it up. Yeah, yeah. I know, because like when Paul does it, you give a little more clay in the center, right? When you blow your pieces out. Yeah, because I've been to one of Paul's demos, and he's leaving a little more clay there, which actually makes a lot of sense. It probably would be a better idea. This is, it's like I tell people, there's a million potters, and we all do things differently, and steal from all of us, or borrow, or whatever, but utilize everything from everybody. You know, just what I'm doing isn't the right way. It's only the right way for me. But if we can show you one thing today, just one thing, the heat gun, you know. Of course, I have a patent on this here. It'll cost you. No, but I mean, the heat gun, or just cleaning up a tool, or sharpening a needle tool, you know, it's worth your time. Remember these little things, and you might be able to use them. And it might take years. It's like I haven't done a lot of chattering. You know, Bill Brown established a chattering program. We're talking 28, 30 years ago, and I haven't done much since then. But now, every piece I have is chattered. You know, I'm having so much fun with it, and I'll go over that in a little while. So now we've done that, we're going to blow. Well, no, we're not. This is going to be textured. So what we do, we have our cylinder. We're going to really try to smooth this out best we possibly can. Okay, so we have a fairly smooth surface. Let's do one more time. What I normally would do a lot of times is I would add slip now, but I'm not going to, because it just takes time, and you have to dry it again. But what I would do is I'd establish my neck right now. So I come in here and make a neck on this piece, what I feel I'm going to need. This is only for a heavy textured piece. Put a line there. So that's my neck on it. And let's dry it just a little bit, get a little firmer. This tool here really changes a lot depending on how dry the clay is on the outside. I'm always told when you do a workshop, you always use a torch, you know, because that's macho. Don't use a hair, and never use a hair dryer. You know, you have to use a torch. And then, like we were talking, Bob Kinsley's great. You know what the burners look like on a raku kiln? Well, that's what he uses. So he has this massive burner, and it roars, and he has a gas line that comes directly out of his gas pipe, and it's like, it's really kind of cool. Okay. But normally, like I said, I would put slip on here so you can see the different textures, but it's just time consuming. Then you get your Steve tool or your tool you made, and what we do is come in the bottom and just go up. And you can stop right there. And you take a look at it, okay? And that's kind of cool. But it isn't what I want, so we'll do it again. And actually, I'll do this 3 times. You get the
pattern on your stick.
Yep. And they also come with 2 different type of wheels. They have this one here, which is like a little chisel, and the other one's like little pointy things. And that's even like kind of nice. And you can just stop right there and say, you know, this would be really fun to raku, or to do temaku on there, or a celadon. But one more time.
And how deep is that Joe?
As hard as I pushed, probably maybe 1/8 of an inch. Not very deep. You can get really deep. If you go online and type in Steve's tool, they have some demos there, and they're really pushing it inside. And oh, that looks like heck. Let's get a little angle right there. More isn't always better, but sometimes not enough isn't. Okay, that's good enough. I have a little problem right here. It's going to look a little weird, but that's all right. So now we're going to blow it out, but you cannot touch the outside. So everything has to be done inside, and it isn't always successful. So if it fails, it's not my fault. We're coming off a new moon, you know, and the gravitational pull and all that kind of stuff. And my horoscope was lousy this morning in the newspaper, so should never looked at that. I never used to look at that. In probably the last 6 months I've been watching at that. This is bad. Okay, so we have a really nice pattern. If I really wanted to, I could have really made sure this cylinder was straight. I could put a little foot on there, and I could be done. I really could. But let's play with this a little bit. Let's come in here, start at the bottom. Gotta push this out. I had a student one time, I was showing this here, and they were throwing, they're going, Joe, not much is happening. I said, well, you know, wait till you stop the wheel. You'll see. Come on, up, 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 up. Stop right before that lip, and things start happening. And you know, we get this twist. And if you didn't really want the twist, you want a more of a vertical line, then you could reverse the wheel on the other side, and it brings it back. I don't do that very often. There's a few people. Lee Middleman does that on some of his pieces. Forrest Middleman does these patterns. They're just gorgeous, but they're vertical patterns, and he doesn't want them twisting. So that's what he does. He throws a little one way, a little the other way. We have a little too much chatter up here, so we'll just mush that in. And let's go out again. It really is a fun tool. I think they're 20 bucks, something like that. I just did a workshop down in Florida, and I sold a ton of these for them. See what's happening? So, but we got to dry this out because it's starting to talk to me a little bit, and it's not really happy. I'll tell you about my workshop. It's a fun one. Every year, the city of Orlando flies me down there and we do a pit fire. Okay, this is the city of Orlando, middle of one of their parks. They dig a 60-foot hole. I mean, right in the middle of the lawn, 60-foot hole. We probably have 200 people participating. They come as far as New Jersey down to this here, and we do this massive pit fire. And it's really a lot of fun. I mean, this is serious. They have a live band. They bring a stage on. We've done them at night. I've never done a real serious bomb fire like that at night, which is really exciting. You know, Orlando has some money, so they can afford this kind of stuff. Disney owns it all. But what they have there is a high school, and I've done workshop with the kids there. And this is a high school that has nothing but wood fire. It's an art school, and they have 4 wood fire kilns. And you know, the colleges don't have that. Not a single college in the area has that. We have soda, but it is unbelievable. And the kids are great. And what's really something is their audiovisual area and their movies. Disney gives them all their old equipment, which is like, what, 2 days old and it's out of date. And they come in and install, and it is unbelievable what they have down there. I know at San Jose State we have a program with Disney for automation program, and it's really, Disney puts a lot of money in over there, but in Orlando it is wonderful. But then I only do it in March, so the weather is nice. We might get rain, but we don't get that summer heat. Come on.
How many people buy for Christmas?
About 200. Yeah, everybody brings pots, because a pit fire is nice. The more pots you have, you just dig it a little bigger. And I don't know, maybe two to three cords of wood. Well, pit fire, Paul, well, you're going to talk about it, right? You going to talk about pit firing at all, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'll just give you a rough, what a pit fire is very primitive style firing. What we're going to do one, you can do them at the beach in the fire rings, but it's a hole in the ground. We put sawdust, we put copper carbonate, you put pots in there that, as Paul's going to show you how to terracige them, and then you put cow patties on top, which is really kind of important, and tons of wood, and light it, and come back about 6 hours later. And you've got wonderful pots.
Primitive firing.
Very.
And, I have a piece that I'll have out there if you can take a look at it.
Pit. Okay, so let's blow this out again. But everything's done from the inside now. Like I said, I cannot touch the outside. So if you screw up, you never want to slow down up here, because you can lose it. Like we're talking about, you know, I know you've all driven Jeeps in the mud, like what I was saying. You never want to slow down, because you're just going to sink. I don't know if it's like that.
That heat dryer made the stars be on your side.
It's all right. I love this thing. But we'll open it up just a little more. It's a little weak up here, and I should heat it some more. Also, I know what I kept forgetting. Well, when we throw a pot, you throw on the inside. You're not just throwing the outside of the piece. So look inside. It's like a bowl. When you make a bowl, throw the inside of the bowl. Don't worry about the outside. Now I'm going to show you. Yeah, we got tons of time. I'm going to show you how to trim a bowl. Not very, but on the bat, so you can get it really thin, and you don't have to guess how thick your walls are. This is what I was talking about keeping them on the bats. But let's push this out just one more time. But as I was saying, I got distracted. You throw the inside, so make sure you don't, like a lot of times if you look at the inside of a person's pot, it comes up, inside, you know, you dug your well, it comes up and then out, and that is going to give you a large foot. You really want to make sure you have a really nice line down there. You really want to push that. It's like beginner bowls, all come down, a little hump, and then down, right? And you can tell someone's learning how to throw a bowl, and that's fine. But same with the inside of your pot. Nice line, then you can duplicate that on the outside. That's really important. And I spend a lot of time looking at the inside. Okay, so let's push this out just a little farther. Just one more time. Now's when you hold your breath. I was doing a workshop, you know, and you get really kind of cocky and arrogant. And I'm throwing a large piece and I'm talking away. And I'm not watching what I'm doing, and my armpit is like pushing the top of the pot down, and the thing is coming down and down and down, you know, and all of a sudden someone goes, Joe, and I stop, you know, and you look at it, you go, oh, no problem. Inside you go, oh, you stupid, you know. But it worked out well, because you can, these things can slump. Use some heat on there, you can bring them right back up. Once it folds, if you ever get a fold in the clay, forget it, just wedge it up. So we got some lines right here which are really, but I'm not gonna try to finish this piece off now. But you can see what happens with the textures. Then what you would do, look at your neck. I like to bring my necks in, but if I push this around a lot right now, it's wet, because I've worked this clay a lot, it's going to want to collapse or distort. So use some more heat on there. and then you'd work your neck. But like I said, I really want to do a little bit of trimming, a little bit of chattering. So the last thing I would do is try to come in here. And this is a little scary. I like my necks, I don't like these very vertical necks with these pieces. I like them to come in. And then I really like using some of these little blue ribs for shaping. It's really a nice line there for a neck. Then I would trim the top like I did on that one there. Do the bottom. Take a look at it half hour from now. These pieces will probably literally go home today and I will really look at them and I might alter them a little bit. This one here I'll do more trimming, but this one here I might touch up a little bit. But let's talk about trimming because we have 25 minutes. Okay. I live with the Griffin gripper. It right next to my leg in the studio. I love these things here. They're for centering. I don't know if you guys all know, but what they do is you can center a piece on there real quick. It's set up so it attaches to your wheel head. I attach it to a bat so I can take it on and off constantly, so I don't tear these things up. I actually have 2 of these. They're, God, 200 bucks, something like that. They're worth every penny. Some people think they're cheating. But what I do, what I have at home is perfect. I have a bunch of buckets, all different sizes. These are my trimming chucks. So all you have to do is put it on here, slap it on there, put some type of cloth so you don't screw it up on here, put your piece in there. I go from a yogurt cup up to a 5-gallon bucket and they work really well. But let's talk a little about this one piece here. Okay, I'm very into this right now. In fact, I'm doing the Saratoga Rotary Show, which is like in May 5th, something like that. And everything I have now is chattered. So if you don't like chattering, don't even waste your time, just about. And then what I'm having a lot of fun is that what we're doing is soda firing without any glazes on the outside, so that they're brown pots. But okay, this pot was thrown yesterday, still on the bat. I haven't moved it. So what I can do now, where's my trimming stuff? Here it is. Let me get organized for 2 seconds here. I can trim it right here. It's already centered. You know, and everybody actually, you know, what type of tools you use, they're all fine. It's just when they get really good, they get really thin like that. And you know you only have a couple of weeks left. It's really sad. But what I like about this here is it's all centered for me. I get up in the morning, if you have your own home studio, it's hard at school or some of the other studios, but it's all ready for me. So all I got to do is put it on here. If I didn't like this lip a little bit, I could, you know, play it there. But what I usually do is I'll start trimming all the way down and start my shaping. This is where the mirror really helps. So I'm just smoothing this out. I'm not going to trim the whole thing. But I can go down to about this far and see what I have going there. Do my trimming down to almost a full foot. So I like my shape. If I want to see what the weight's like, I can leave it right on there, lift it up, go, okay, that feels heavy or that's light. It's fine. This one isn't too bad. And then chattering. These are chatter tools. If you go online, Shin,
iPods.net.
Was what?
mypots.net.
Okay, mypots.net. Shin is instructor at Higher Fire and also at Sunnyvale. He has like 9,000 videos. No, he don't have. He has over 100 videos, and they are good. They are good. But he shows you how to chatter. He shows you how to make a chatter tool. He's using a hacksaw blade. I really like. This was made by Bill. This is an antique, so this is worth money. No, this is a piece of strapping. It's hard to find this stuff anymore. Everybody's using nylon. But what you end up doing is you put slip on here, like I did on that piece there. It's fairly dry right now. Get the wheel going really fast. It might make a little bit of mess, but it won't hurt you. And you get this here, and this is a spring, and just hold your breath, get started. You want that noise. And you stop the wheel. You get this really, it's a real simple pattern there. But we'll do it again. That's really like, hey, come on up. You know? But this is very simple. Shin does it very, very light like this here. You can look at Lee Middleman. He does these like really deep, deep, deep cuts. I'll do this 3 or 4 times. I'll do it about 2 or 3 more times and get a pattern on there. But it's really fun because you did it once. Come in here. And every tool you'll have will make a different pattern. There we go. This is starting to get nicer now. I really, really, really like these tools. You know, they really are fun. You know? Oh, thank you. I really like this a lot. And now, like I said, what I like about it, and I'm just lazy as can be, is that when I go to fire this, I will put a liner glaze in there, maybe a Temmaku or a John's Black, and then we put in the soda kiln. And but you can also just put in high fire. Some of these clays, Clay Planet will show you, come out these beautiful browns. Just high fire, just raw clay. And then you put different color slips. And this slip, all it is you can buy it here, glacier porcelain powdered, in a powdered form, and you can add different colors to it. So if you want blue slip, you can, you know, cobalt. This has Newman's red clay. I don't know how the pricing is now, but when you buy Newman's Red, it was always funny. I remember I came here, if you buy 10 pounds, it was 25 pounds, you paid $10. You bought 50 pounds, it was $9.99. So I always just tell Matt, I said, you know, if I buy 100, do I get, you know, money back? But look at the prices on those there because they don't have to break them up. But, and you know, you can really play with this a lot. Every tool will give you a different pattern. So this will give you a finer pattern. You sharpen them, you end up going to Harbor Freight for like $5. You can get all these little really expensive high precision files, but you keep these things sharp, but just keep a sharp, you have to have a sharp edge on these for them to work. So it's just a matter of like a knife would.
Just filing on one side?
Both sides, yeah. But it's really, really fun. Okay, then we want to trim this. Let's say I've done all my work on the outside. And how do I use this here? Get your needle tool. And if you're going to take it off the bat, do the same thing I'm doing right now. Get your needle tool. Always score the bottom. Produce a line down here. Because too often when we go in there with a wire and you go to pull, you end up with these wavy bottoms, and there's nothing worse than, it's really hard to correct. Is there a wire over there? Oh, thank you. Now I can come in here and cut this off, and it should be fairly flat. Make sure you're in the groove, though. You know, you don't have to turn it, but you know, and it's a fairly flat bottom that way. But too often, like I said, what happens is that we end up with that, and that's the main reason. Now's a good time to clean these too. Okay, so you take your Griffin gripper. You don't have to have a Griffin gripper. You can just put the pot, the buckets right on your wheel head or on a bat and put wadding down there. But this is so sweet. Put these on there. A couple $100. Yeah. And they also have an extension for large platters. It's like $80, but you can do a probably 24-inch platter on them, which is kind of neat. Okay, then you have your piece. When you're working on any chucks, I know you know a lot of this stuff, but you can do it two ways. I did bring just someplace, but it's not important. A bubble level. You can put a bubble level on here. Make sure your wheel is level. And then you can put a little bubble level on here. Or what I do is you sit down and you just look at this edge and make sure this is flat. So you get it going around, close one eye, and you know it's a little off there, so just give a little bit of a bump. And it's pretty flat. Now I can trim this here. Hey man, it's tough. I get lost like this at home. I mean, it's amazing. You're sitting there throwing and you're going, I know I had a tool. Oh. Well, I thought I brought them. No, here they are. This was, I bought this here and I thought, you know, sometimes you have more money than brains. And it wasn't like a lot of money, they're like $20, but they're wonderful. I think it's great. What it is the Lazy Susan, a little Lazy Susan. And you can use, oh yeah, bottle cap will work too, but this is so cool. And this comes with a video, you know? So that's really good. But I really, yes, I did. But you just put this in the center, and it's really nice. Get it going around. Try to get it somewhat centered. And your hand can stay right on there. And you can keep enough pressure on here so the pot doesn't wobble on you. It's really, like I said, it's decadent, but it's really worth it. With these here, I really like to come in with a small foot. What I like about this here with my teacups, this is the size of my foot for a teacup. It's just perfect for me. But you would hold that there. You can come in here, do your trimming, start up here, clean up all this mess. Try to establish your foot, the size of your foot. You know, if you don't like some of the lines here, you can take care of your lines here. I won't trim the whole thing because we are running close on time. But you would start out here. Once I got this established, I do all my trimming from here on up. I'll either put a small foot on there if I really want to. I can come in here and put a small line here. You know, and establish a little foot here. Or what I really like to do, it's a little easier and it's kind of nice, I really like it now, is I'll trim all the way up to here. Let's say this is all done, right? And the last thing I'll do is get my tool and bevel this edge. So you just come in here and just give it a little bevel like this here. Clean this up. And then I'd foot it. The beveled edge, what it does is produces a shadow so that the piece visually looks lighter because of that little shadow down there. It's just a little thing, but it makes a difference in the, you know, when you look at the piece, especially if you're displaying it, it really makes a difference. I mean, if you're looking from the top, no, but if you're looking from the side, that really makes a big difference. And if you don't want to put a foot, put the bevel, then add your foot to that.
Can we see your foot when you're totally done?
I'm not going to do the whole foot because it takes too much time. We only have less than 15 minutes. I want to show a bowl. The foot is just I don't have any finished pieces here at all. Some things we just can't do. Okay, but the big advantage, the thing that I like a lot about leaving the piece on the the bat, if we get through this quick enough, I'll just put a foot on it. Is here I threw this bowl, right? And it's what I really want on the inside, but it's kind of really ugly on the outside. It has a bump here. And normally what would you do? You'd have this, you'd flip it over. Since this is still on the bat, I put it back on my wheel and I can trim it. And I can come up here and start thinning it out, and I can feel the whole thing all the way down. And when you're doing, it's like, I don't know if you guys know Gary Holt. He's up in Berkeley. Gary does the most beautiful teacups in the world, and they're Southern Ice. They're paper thin, and they're very, very, very translucent. To get really thin, this is an easy way to do it. Gary throws them thin, but this is a way to get really thin pieces. Control your thickness. He also uses chlorides. They're gorgeous. I mean, they're $400 $400 or $500 teacups, and they're worth every penny. But they're gorgeous. So, this way I can just keep feeling exactly what's going on. I know what I got going. I know that I'm a little thick right here. Keep going down. And I don't go through this way. And usually I'll trim down to right about almost the bottom. You can get some of this extra clay off down here. Start your shaping for a bowl. But I have control the whole time right now. So when I'm finished with this here, then I do the same thing I just did before. Use my needle tool. Cut it off. Flip it over and finish the piece. But I know my walls are going to be nice and even, and I can get it really thin, especially with porcelain. Some of the porcelains you can really, really, really get them thin, and you start using things like bison tools, which are tungsten. They really cut beautifully. Let's finish off that piece, okay? I'll trim a foot. Yeah, I can do it. I'm good.
I don't want to rush.
No, there's no rush. I really wanted to show that because it's the idea. We're all taught that.
So you think the one tool that's good for trimming is called what?
Oh, they're bison tools. They're expensive. They're $80 a piece, and if you drop them, they shatter. You don't. When you watch a person show someone their bison tools, it's like, don't get near me. And I've seen quite a few of them break, and I've stepped on mine. But he can repair them if they're sometimes. But he's really a nice guy. Okay, let's trim this. 10 minutes. Okay. Oh, I was just enjoying myself. I'm just thinking, I had to take a finite math class in college, and we had a grad student teaching us, and she would go to the last second, and then it'd be over, and she'd go, "Oh man, we're just getting warmed up, And the whole class is going, "Yeah, let's get out of here." Okay, so going to trim our foot. The tool that I like to use, just a little tool to put a groove in, and I make all my feet with this here. I can live without it, but it really makes a nice foot. So let's get this level again. Kind of level. And there's some good things here. Thank you. When you go to do a foot, a lot of times people come in and they'll just start digging out a foot. And what happens is you keep going and going and going and going, and all of a sudden you've gone clear through the side, right? We've all done that. So how do you stop that? Get yourself a small wire tool of some sort that has a small straight edge, and establish a little dam. Establish your foot. So I know I want a foot that's probably what? ½ inch? So from this outside edge, I go in a 1/2 inch. And make a small groove. I take this off, well, take it off. So we're just making a small groove like this here. This gives you some place to stop before you go too far.
You know what works really well is just a regular pencil.
Yeah, that'll work too. I just get so used to certain things, but a pencil will work. But you really want that little dam there. And then you'll start. And we know that since we compressed all our clay, like I was showing you, with a flat tool, I know I have a flat bottom. I don't have this rounded bottom. So I know I'm going to have to trim it fairly. This is a little off, but it's all right. So start in the middle and start working your way to the outside edge. And until you get there, and then you can stop, because you're going to hit that little wall. And then every so often you stop and give a little push. And you know if it moves, you stop. And just keep going. And you know, it's funny, I had a student one time say, you know, when he's trimming, you always put the tool on your nose. And you go, yeah, right, you know. But I have a tendency sometimes to put it on my face. The more contact you have physically, the more control you seem to have. But I'll try not to. But I have done that. You know, you just like this here. I'm not telling you to put the tools on your face. Okay, so we'd go down to where we want, to where it's giving. Use your finger, always use your finger to smooth these edges out. Use that, smooth that, smooth that. Then get your tool and burnish the bottom, because we know how rough these can get. And then, I have a little chop that my son made me, tap plastic that says JB, that I just push in here. And then I have a technique for dating everything, because when the IRS says, you know, how, you know, would you sell, you have to tell them what. And my first pot this year was 001, and then a line 13. So you know that if you ever came to my booth and bought a pot and you turned it over and it has 12 on it, you know, it was old stuff. New stuff will have 13 on there. But this way I can do a spreadsheet and I know where everything's at. So when you're in galleries and you have stuff all over the place, you know where things are at. It's really important, because it gets confusing. And galleries aren't always honest. You know, you have to have proof of some sort that they had certain pieces. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna let you guys go. We got like 1 minute. And thank you very, very much.